Good morning, welcome to This Old Mojo. Today we're going to start framing the addition to the tiny house. I've already spent 2 days doing a bunch of layout and getting this board where it is and getting the ends cut, but that was really boring footage, so we're just going to cover it real quick. On these piers, it's starting to fade now from the rain, but you can see that we got the center lines marked on those. That took an entire day, and I didn't film a whole lot of it. And yeah, then we got this board, got it cut to the ends of the OSB here, and it may need adjusting, but that'll be done later. And then I strung this line on it, and you measure from this line back to the board, and when it's the same the entire distance, and it's should be 3 3/4 inches. When it's 3 3/4 inches the entire distance, then this board is perfectly parallel with the existing structure. Yeah, you can see the layout lines here, and this right here is the inside edge of the bracket here, but this is also the inside edge of the bracket. So if that line was going right here, or if I move the bracket, that's where the bracket goes. The only reason for these center lines on these piers is so that I could step off of those in a square fashion. Today, I need to pull out all of that lumber, sort it, get the lumber for what I'm doing here, which is a fair amount. It's the entire perimeter and all 3 beams. I need to sort through all of that lumber, get the lumber that I need, and then the other lumber, I need to separate it according to the grade. So let's go down there and take a look at that real quick. That's boring as hell too, so I'm not going to show that either, but I'll show you what we're up against down there, and then we'll get back to you when we're done with it. All right, pulled the mixer out, cleared the stuff off of my piles, and I've been scratching my head for the last, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, and now it all makes sense again. I was wondering why I had so many of these 2x6 by 22, and I need 1 tie plate, 1 bottom plate, 2 top plates, and 2 of them for the center beam, and that leaves 1 extra. The really tall wall, the 14-foot tall wall, is going up in 2 sections, so it doesn't have a sole plate on it. It has 2 separate shorter ones on the top and bottom. It just has 1 long one on the top. On this side, it has a sole plate plus 2 long top plates. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and there should be 7 of these with the 1 extra. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same with this. This is the 22 footers. We have that first board right there. That is basically a rim joist. So now we need 2 for the beam here, and then 2 for the beam over here, and another rim joist. So that would be 5 plus an extra one, which would be 6. So we got 1 extra of each one. I'm not going to pull all these out. I got it all figured out now. These are the joists. I just got to check the drawings to make sure that we have enough of them. I'm going to guess there's 2 extra of those. There may only be 1 though. And then these longer ones here are the rafters. So all we're short is the wall framing stuff. And that's what I was thinking all along. Good, good, good. All right, so I'm just going to sort these, and the ones that won't be used right away are getting put back. All right, so I pulled one of these off the stack, and it had just a slight little crown to it. Then I pulled another one off, and it had a much bigger crown to it. So I kind of separated them. It's hard to know which is better than the other until you look at all of them. And then the next 5, well, actually the next 4 boards out of here were so straight that I couldn't figure out where the crown was. Yeah, I got a little question mark on the other 2. I just got a line going up and down. So one of these has a tiny bit of a crown. Well, both of these have a tiny bit of a crown, but one of them is almost dead straight. So these will be combined with these. 2 of these and 2 of these are going to go together and make a beam. And one of them is going to be the outer rim joist on this far end. So now I got to go up there and look down them again and choose the best one out of these 3 for the rim joist. And then I compare these up for the beam, and we have the spare, which will probably be cut up into blocking. It's just enough blocking for the entire thing, so that's probably what it'll be used for. And I do have to go through this rack here because I need 2 of the short direction rim joists, so the 2 best out of all these. But while I'm at it, I'll mark the crowns and grade them as well. I still have to go through these as well. The only ones I don't have to go through are the rafters. I'll have to go through them at some point, but not today. All right, let's get these done real quick. And yeah, most of them are coming back in here. And then we'll work on these. Okay, the 2x6 material is a little bit less awesome. This is the last one. It's really nice, except for at the very end, it's got like a hook to it. And the rest of this stuff, this has a twist to it. I'm just wondering if I should use the hook or the twist together with the only A grade board to make that center beam. The center beam is just to get rid of any bounce in the floor, and there's a lot of adjustment. I can adjust the height of it however I want, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then we got a B, and a couple C's. And none of them are anywhere near as good as those. yeah, I'm going to go up to the top and look down them again, and I only need that A board and whatever's going up against it, and I believe it's either going to be this or that, because as I'm clamping it and screwing it together, I can pull it straight with a clamp, and then the final board or the final beam should be pretty darn straight. Yeah, I think this twisted one is a lot straighter, and it's pretty easy to pull a twist out of it when you're making a beam. So yeah, I believe it's going to be this one, but let me go up there and look. Got everything up here last night, and I actually ran to town and got that OSB that I was talking about. I had to get 2 sheets, and I got it all cut up this morning, and I've been working on getting stuff weatherproof for the workout here. The compressor, I got this screwed into the piece of scrap from cutting the peak up there. I cut this board at the same height as the handle, and I wanted to keep my tools in here, but it doesn't have a cover. So between the handle and that board, I can put a concrete block, and this will be waterproof for the duration of the project. I want to get this on that piece of wood up high enough where it'll be out of the rain as well. I'll just take this off during the day while I'm working. Get this on there right here, and I want to put a power strip on here as well. Keep all that stuff right near the electricity and keep it out of the water. Okay, like I said, I got that OSB all cut this morning. I have to get this working, and I need to set up on these horses here and start work on that center beam. I didn't film yesterday because there was a lot of people around, but I got this center beam done. It's kind of a convoluted process, but one big tip I can give you is if you lay down a long beam like this, if you lay it down like that between sawhorses and then glue it up and nail it or screw it like I did, if you do all that, it's going to have a giant curve in it, and you'll never be able to get the curve out. What you got to do is you can glue it laying down and get your centerpiece here that is stapled on. I get that on, well, and actually I cut these OSB pieces, I cut them nice and square on the miter saw so I can butt the next piece up nice and square, and those help straighten everything out as well. But I staple it in place and then stand it up and then do the rest of the stapling, and I stand it up while I'm screwing the next one on. I use wood clamps. You can offset these, and if the board is riding high, you can put one jaw on the bottom side of this one and the other jaw on this one, tighten it up and pull it nice and straight, throw a couple screws in and work your way down. So I was clamping it together with these big suckers, and I think I brought 8 of them, 6 of them, and I would have one up, one down, one up, one down, and then throw screws in between them, and then move the clamp, you know, go certain ways and then move the clamps and work my way down, and you end up with a very nice straight level beam. it's also glued. And the combination of glue and screws makes it insanely strong. I was not going to work today because it's the hottest day of the week. Today and Friday, it's Monday today. Monday and Friday are the hottest days, but I think what I'm going to do is just work until noon and then work in the shop after noon. Tomorrow it's going to be in the 70s. It's probably going to rain, but they called off the rain, but it'll probably rain anyways. But I'll be out here all day tomorrow. So let's get as much work as we can done. I have like 3 pages or 4 pages of how to do this. But I'm not going to go through all that stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my outer pieces, my rim pieces. I'll get those cut to length, and then I have some cleats and stuff that are going to hold them in place. They're going to sit on the center beam. I'm going to get the center beam in place and then take my long level and get it level and at the right height. This is going to be right below the joist level. The joists are going to ride on the top of this, so that'll take a while. I'll mess around with that until I got it right. Then I'll screw this cleat right here and put my fascia board on, and it'll ride up. It'll be balancing on that center beam there, and it'll ride up and hit this, which will get it in the right place. I'll get it all nice and flushed up and screw it in place. Do the same on the other side, and then over here I can cleat the underside of that board on both sides and rest the board that goes across this way on those cleats and get that screwed in place. And then I can play with the height and location and all that stuff. I'll put some like jack stands out on the ends over here. You'll see all that pretty soon. For now, I got to get this beam down onto the brackets and figure out the thickness of the shims that I'm going to need. All right, I got Natalie out here and we got this beam in place. This has to be brought up to the correct level, and once I do that, I'm going to take my Sharpie and mark where the beam comes to, and then we'll cut these ears off. It's just going to have the one hole, and we're going to cut it just below where the beam hits. Now I got my 2 end fascias cut, and what I did is pre-drilled the holes. Because I'm using these 1/4 inch spacks, I don't want the end grain splitting out on these, so I pre-drilled them, and they're a little bit further in than center and angled a little bit so that I got more meat here. And then I'll get these in place. This one is in the center, and this one is for fixing it in place. I'll put a regular screw through that and just start the threads, and then get these driven in and then drive that one home. But I got to get this beam leveled, and what I was thinking is if I just put something on here and put my fascia board on here and check the level, I can just use a few shims and get this nice and level, screw it in place, and then I can lift it up. I'll just put a board down to the ground and then clamp it nice and level. Then I can just raise the beam up until it touches it, instead of messing around with this beam going back and forth and using a level out to the beam like I had planned on. This seems like a way easier way to do it. I think I'm going to try that. I found a better way to do it without help. What I'm doing is putting the level on the top of the joist over here, and then I need the top of the joist over here. So I cut a piece of plywood that is the same width as a 2x8, 7 1/4, and just wedged it up on top of this until we're level. I got a little bit more to go, but that really doesn't matter. Now I can rest my board on there and on here, and it'll be really close to level. I can tweak it until the end of this board is nice and flush with the end of this board, and then screw it in place. Then I'll put that stand out here and clamp it to that, take this nonsense out of there, and then shim the beam up until it touches the bottom. Hope that makes sense. Makes sense to me. All right, let's see how it works out. All right, I found that I needed something to catch this board. It kept falling off. I had originally figured on a cleat on the inside, and I'm still going to do that. Let me show you those. If I put these exactly 1.5 inches from the outside, these will fit right into the bracket if it needs to. But if I screw that down to the beam and screw this to it, then I can adjust everything right in place. I can't do that now because the beam needs to come up. So, just a quick note on this joint right here. This is not like a super critical joint. The beam is going to have some heavy lags into that, but this has to hold up until I get everything nice and level. I'm going to locate the brackets by how level this is, or the location of this and the squareness of this. That's how I'm going to locate the brackets. So it's going to be jogged around a bit, hopefully not that much. So I put 3 spacks in it. I was going to put 2 and then just a regular screw, and this board was at an angle like that. So what I did is clamped the new board nice and tight against the top. The top is the only thing that matters, and nice and flush. And then put this screw in. Then I put this clamp on, and all you got to do is push down just a little bit way out here, and that'll come nice and flush. You're twisting it, and then put one in here, and I put one in the middle because this has got a fair cup to it. Didn't pull it straight, but that's okay. Now I need to get a board going from the other end there down to the ground like a jack stand, and then do the same thing on the other. Then I can put the board on the end and square the whole thing up. I'll show you the squaring jigs when I get to that point. All right, on this end, we got a little meat down here. Instead of having to pull the top out, we have to pull the bottom out or pull this board up. What I'm going to do is put this top screw in and then lift the board up, just shim it up on that side until it's flush down here, then put the bottom screw in, and I should be able to put that one in right away as well. Want to get this dead even. The more exact this frame is here, the better the squaring and all the future processes are going to be. So I want all of the joints on this outside frame to be pretty much dead nuts on. Yeah, this is the end that I was actually worried about, because this end had a pretty good twist to it. So I got that first spax in there, and now this is dead flush, but I had to raise it up 6-8 inches down there. Once I get those two spax in there, I'll remove all that stuff, and when the board comes down, it's going to take the twist out of this board. Beautiful. All right, that's what it takes to get this level. We are level here, and now this board is straight. This is going to end up getting screwed. There's going to be a block here that is this width, but about like that big, and then right after that will be the beam. So like I said before, this is not the final joint. It just has to do the job until I can get everything level and square. Well, it's 3 o'clock and I got the floating frame in place, and as bizarre as it may sound, it's dead level there, here, and there. It's dead level all the way around using the 7-foot Stabilo level. Yeah, I'm gonna call that good. I don't know how I could get it more level than this with a laser or anything. I think when I do the squaring, I'm gonna try a level like from that corner over to here, a line level, and see what that does, but I don't see how it can get better than this. And this corner has 2.5 inches of shim under it, and I believe that's what it says on the drawings. When I made this one shrunk way down. What I was doing was I would wait for them to settle in, and then I would overfill it and scrape the top off. I didn't do that on this one. I think the concrete came a little bit lower than the top to start with, so I couldn't overfill it. Something like that. But I know this one, I thought it was at least 2 inches low. But whatever it is, it's working. Now, I need to jack up this center beam until it just touches, and then get some shims underneath it so it stays that way. Yeah, this is working out really well. And I need to get the corner squaring stuff and start squaring this up. Yeah, this is coming out easier than I thought. Hopefully, I don't have a big problem on my hand that I'm not seeing, but just checking to see what my overhang is. Needs to come this way a little bit, but that'll happen once I square it. Good, good, good. Okay, I had Natalie come out and we just lifted up the beam and threw some shims under it on both ends. Then I took the Stabilo level, I put a 2x8 on the beam. I started over there, I went between the outside and the beam, dead level, shifted it over to here, dead level. I did that all the way to right here. I can't do it because of the house right here, but it is still dead level right now. I'm just going to check it the rest of the way right here, But holy crap. Yeah, if this thing squares up as easy as it leveled up, we are really moving along with this tiny house. I'm gonna have to run to get materials a lot quicker than I thought. I think I have enough to keep going for, oh, I probably have enough materials to keep going for a day or two. I think I can start doing the brackets. This center bracket is right where it needs to be right now. Show you that level. Beautiful. So I could take a Sharpie, draw a line on there, and mark the location of the pier and start getting these cut right away. Yeah, I can get the other ones cut. Those have to have the inside slot here is going to be elongated because this hangs over the edge just a tiny bit, and I need the bolt to be like right there. So I'm going to be drilling a 3/4 inch hole right here and just connecting the lines. I'll probably just use a jigsaw. I was going to use an angle grinder, but a jigsaw for thick metal, which I have, will cut that pretty easy. Yeah, and then I got to get all these level. And oh yeah, I forgot. I need to get these brackets level before I measure for the shim. Then they can be drawn, the line can be drawn on them, and they can be cut. Yeah, I got plenty of work I can do. Okay, well, let me check this level the rest of the way, and I think I'm going to start leveling these brackets.